All right, so this video, we're going to take a look at the partial fraction decomposition of 3x plus 1 over x to the fifth plus 4x to the fourth plus 8x cubed. I'll say at the outset, this one is going to take a little bit of work. First, we'll factor the denominator, and clearly I can pull x cubed out. So x cubed, and then x squared plus 4x plus 8. Okay, so I've got a repeated root. The repeated root is 0, and so the form will be a over x plus b over x squared plus c over x cubed. This term has this term here has x cubedness, so that spits out 3 terms. Here I have an irreducible quadratic, and so that'll have the form dx plus e over x squared plus 4x plus 8. And as usual, I have a 5th degree polynomial, which means I'll have 5 unknowns that I need to solve for. Okay, so to do this, we will clear out the denominator. So multiplying through by this denominator, I would have 3x plus 1 is equal to a times x squared plus 4x plus 8. And then b times x squared plus 4x plus 8, plus c times x squared plus 4x plus 8. And then lastly, dx plus e times x to the third. All right, now, if we can, we plug in a number to make our life simple. So let's let x equal 0. That's the one number that I can plug in that will give me some simplicity. On this side, I'll have 1. If I plug in 0 goes away, plug in 0 goes away, plug in 0 goes away. Here, if plug in 0, these two go away, I'm left with 8c. And so c is equal to 1/8. So I can plug in 0 to get one of the constants, and that's going to help me out somewhat in the future. Unfortunately, there's nothing else easy to plug in. So I've got 2 choices here. I can multiply out, or else I can plug 4 different numbers and start solving, get 4 equations that way. Either way, I've got a system of 4 equations and 4 unknowns. So what I'm going to choose to do here is literally multiply out, because I'm going to have a 4x4 system that I have to solve for anyway. So multiplying out and using the fact that c is equal to 1/8, I get 3x plus 1 equals, multiplying out, I get ax to the fourth plus 4ax cubed plus 8ax squared. On the next line, I get plus bx to the third plus 4bx squared plus 8b times x. Now, using the fact that c is equal to 1/8, I get plus 1/8 x squared. 1/8 times 4 makes a half x. And then an eighth times 8 makes 1. And then finally over here, dx times x cubed makes plus dx to the fourth. And then ex to the third. And so I deliberately line things up in columns to make it easier to match up. So matching up, there's no 0 over here. There's no 0x to the fourth. And so I'll end up with a plus d is equal to 0. And let me give myself a little bit more space. A plus d is equal to 0. Next, if I take a look at the cubes, there's no cube term over here. So I have 4a plus b plus e is equal to 0. Next, I look at the squares. 8a plus 4b plus an eighth equals 0. Now, finally, it becomes a little bit more interesting looking at the linear terms. 8b plus a half is equal to 3. And finally, looking at the constant term, we get 1 equals 1. And, well, that's easy. So we don't have to deal with that one at all. So 4 equations in 4 unknowns. The good news is that I can pick these off one at a time. And so this is actually not too bad of a system of equations. Looking at the last line, I see that 8b is equal to 5/2. And so that means that b is equal to 5/16. So I get that from the last line because there's only one variable in this line. Okay, now that b is equal to 5/16, I can plug in here and solve for a. So 8a plus 4 times 5/16 plus 1/8 is equal to 0. And so I can solve for a, and it works out that a is equal to -11/64. I can take this and go to the top line. So a is equal to -11/64. So -11/64 plus d equals 0. And therefore d will be 11/64, positive. And finally, I know a and b, so that allows me to solve for e. So 4 times a, -11/64, plus b, 5/16, plus e is equal to 0. And so I've got the one variable here, and so that means that e is equal to 3/8 if I solve for e. And so I've got my a, b, c I found way up here, and I've also got d and e. And so I'm now solved the problem, so I come back to my top here. A was equal to -11/64. B was equal to 5/16. C was the first thing that I found, it was 1/8. D was 11/64. And E was 3/8. And so that is the partial fraction decomposition of this rational expression.